He thought he was kissing the love of his life, but that one kiss turned into the beginning of a nightmare. As he gently leaned in, placing a soft kiss on his wife's lips, he had no idea that the zombie virus, a deadly pathogen spreading faster than sound, had already passed into his body through her saliva. And then, just 2.5 seconds later, his entire system went into chaos. Foam poured from his mouth. His eyes turned blood red. Tears mixed with blood rolling down his cheeks. His muscles tightened. His spine arched back unnaturally, and he began to convulse like a puppet with its strings cut. Then his humanity disappeared. He transformed into something horrifying. A mindless, bloodthirsty zombie. With a bone-chilling scream, he lunged at the woman he once loved. Her scream echoed through the building, but by the time the military arrived, they were too late. Inside the quarantine room, they found only one lifeless body, frozen and cold. Colonel Black, a hardened military leader, took one glance and understood the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just an isolated infection. This was a crisis. He immediately issued the Red Directive, the military's highest-level lockdown protocol. Civilians across the district were forcefully rounded up. They were frightened, confused, and unarmed, but were thrown into an underground shelter meant to hold them until it was safe. Meanwhile, elite teams from the Army and Air Force were deployed. They began a block-by-block search, scanning every room, every alley, hoping to find and contain any more infected. They believed they could control it, but what they didn't know was that the underground bunker wasn't airtight. It had open corridors on the north and south ends, and while people huddled together in fear, thinking they were safe, a young boy looked up and saw it. A single zombie standing silently at the rear door, its eyes glowing faintly, its mouth twitching with hunger. Then the door burst open. The creature charged in, snarling, biting, ripping into flesh. Panic erupted. People screamed, pushed, and ran, but there was nowhere to run. The bunker was sealed tight. No exits, no weapon, no hope. One by one, the bitten began to turn. The infection spread within minutes. In that dark underground space, the virus had found its perfect playground. But then, after exactly 2.5 minutes of chaos, a group of desperate survivors managed to force their way through the military barricade. They poured out onto the surface, screaming, bleeding, crying for help. The soldiers heard the commotion and turned, but instead of assisting, they raised their weapons. Machine guns pointed at the stairwell. They had orders, strict orders. As civilians came rushing out, the army began scanning them, checking for the slightest sign of infection. One twitch, one stumble, one wrong look, and they were shot dead on the spot. But there were too many people. It became impossible to tell who was clean and who was infected. Some zombies moved just like normal humans. They blended in with the terrified crowd. Snipers on nearby rooftops joined the chaos, picking off any target that seemed even slightly off. But it wasn't enough. Colonel Black, watching the disaster unfold from the control center, knew he was losing control. His men were dying. Civilians were falling. The virus was winning. And so, with a heavy heart and no other option, he gave one final order. Fire on everyone. No exceptions. Civilians, zombies, friend or stranger. No one leaves alive.